This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is a live market chat Tuesday, August 29th. Hopefully, you're having a good week so far. As we expected, choppy with an upside momentum potential going into this week. Labor Day, end of the month, whatever you want to call it. Well, we're getting some interesting action, so I wanted to talk about what I think now might happen the rest of the week because, again, it's got to be fluid, right? And the evidence changes, you have to change. I love when people hit me up and they go, "You changed your mind." Well, the market changed, and so if I'm wrong or something changes or evidence presents itself differently, I have to be willing to pivot. I want to talk to some of you guys in the Discord room and the people following about some of the things about the subconscious. Check out these notes here. Hit pause, read this. If you're having problems trading, managing losses, defining your risks, setting stop, executing your plans, it's usually about something a little more complicated than just simple execution. It's your subconscious that is overriding your ability to literally do the most simple task possible. You have some sort of emotions that are overriding your desires and your logic. One of the things I always tell people is you cannot change how you feel in your mind, in your bigger trajectory in life with logic. Because if it was that easy, alcoholics would put down the beer, drug addicts would stop doing drugs, people who have anxious tendencies would figure out how to overcome them. It's literally subconscious wiring that programs above your conscious thinking. So you got to be careful about that. And if you want to rewire it, again, hit me up on Calendly. I can help you with that because that's a lot of this stuff. Is if you know how to trade, it comes down to literally execution. If you can't execute consistently, there's underlying emotions that are controlling you. It literally is. Especially if you know you're not supposed to do something. You know you're supposed to do something. You don't do it. And you can't execute it. And then you get pissed off when the market does things differently versus, all right, it's a probability game. Are you always going to be right? No. Again, join the Discord room. Link is in the description below. I'll put it into the chat if you're interested in joining. Please just be involved or you will get the boot. Because again, this is a room for people who want to be involved. If you don't need to be involved, then you can just follow on social media. I just don't want to get ripped off. Add Meta to the watch list. Dan, can you review the Microsoft and Meta charts? I'll catch the post morning. Easy. Targets on pops, in my opinion. All right. Well, we'll start there since my man has got a question. We'll get into some more of the things here shortly, but Qs, channel highs, be curious up here. Be curious up here. Right? You've got, if you draw over left. Now, nothing's certain, right? We can't say for sure that this is the exact top, but I'd be willing to bet near term there's probably some resistance here, right? Question is on Meta and Microsoft. Now, we talked about Meta not bottoming, but bouncing. Here you go, 20, 50 day. Once that does, I don't think it wouldn't. Once it rolls to the next level, it'll probably be the 100 day. I'd honestly zoom out a little bit. And you can see that this range, right here, would probably be my next downside target. It might line up with some of these old trend lines. You can see how simple that could be. I'm gonna just delete this one because that was that trend line's not as important either. Again, you draw them, you hope, see if they stick. This is the one I'd be watching. Let's get rid of this guy too. Man, my chart's so annoying. They did not save. My computer restarted. I don't know why it does that. But while I'm thinking about it, I'll figure that out here shortly. So there's your Meta chart. I think, again, I'd be watching this area. Mr. Softy, this thing's been a dumper, laggard. This one's complicated. Choppy and sloppy. I don't know how high this thing can really get from this point going forward. It looks very stuck. Their maximum upside, is when they announced the subscription model, the market gave it the boot, right? It gave up on it. And rightly so, right? Rightly so. Why? Because at this point, it's already priced in. Look what this thing has done. 223.70, making new all-time highs. It feels like a double top breakout or a fake out. So at this point, I think you can just be patient. Keep it simple. Stupid. Any other questions from the Discord room? See some folks who might be interested. Friends, trade chat. People talking about sugar making highs. Again, if something is making highs and the headlines are talking about it, I typically would be fading that kind of stuff. You know, it's like, all right, something's at a 12-year high. Is it going higher? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, if you follow it, great. But remember, news is for suckers. All right, VIX, we talked about it. Getting down into this 14 range, you're getting it. Could it fill the gap at 13.96? I guess that's always possible. But again, if you have profits and longs, I'd be taking them. I would be taking them. I'd be adding and layering into more shorts. Seems very logical, simple. Dollar, we talked about it being kind of on fire. Hits the top of the box, opens at it. Doink, rejection. Jobs number, JOLTS number showing, jobs opening, people dropping out of the workforce. Again, unemployment will be rising in time. The TLT, got to give it credit for holding up. Got over the 20-day. Always possible. Now, one of the things that we talked about, what? It's usually choppy, sloppy, toppy. Maybe it turns around with the PCE. I don't know. We talked about this being a professional gap, being a bottom near term, and it could pop up to the 20-day. You got it. Now you're getting over it. I mean, at this point, if you're owning bonds, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Just don't get too excited about it, because typically you're probably going to retest at some point. I mean, we did that last year. Tops, you know, bottoms, make it high or low. There's no guarantee of what's going to do the formation, but we do know the reoccurring pattern. In my opinion, I'd be watching it for higher lows if you wanted to add. SPY breaking over the 20-day and the 50 days. I'm just going to be curious to see if today ends up being a wick. I mean, could we get up to like 450? I mean, I don't know. Market just went from 435 up to 447 pretty quick. Why are the fibs not drawn? Oh yeah, because it deleted. Let me update this one too, because I think this is worth updating. Let me just remove it, redraw, recycle. Yeah, okay, cool. Someone's got a question. Talking about psychology, my biggest fail is that I lose in a certain stock or sector. I want to make it back, and the stock or sector is wrong. We need to learn not to get attacked. Yeah, no, that's why we jump around. I mean, also too, your wired beliefs, Sam. I mean, I think you can fault your own self. Like, you believe certain things. You posted this stupid video about China collapsing, which again, we all know it will at some point. And then you get married to these theses. Again, stop watching YouTube videos. Stop following people and just try to be evidence-based. Keep it simple, stupid. I don't sit around here and watch anyone else's content, friends. None. Nobody's. I don't care. I want to look at the charts. We talked about like the XLF holding up. We talked about certain little things in the market mechanics that are like, looks like the market's going to bounce. And then we get it. I don't need to go out and watch other third-party news and opinions on the market. Let the market speak to you. Get comfortable with it. There you go, Roblox. Get over 28. That's funny. So many people watching stuff on gold and the economy and the market and all this crap, and it's like, clear the effing noise out. Telling you, stop it. Be chart-based, probability-based. It's that simple. XLF was, again, we talked about it, like holding up really well when the market was getting cooked and then dropped, and I was like, no, it doesn't look that bad. Maybe 20-day, maybe the gap. I mean, maybe there's more upside. Morgan Stanley, we talked about this one getting this goose getting cooked and probably needing to bounce. Okay. Goldman Sachs, we talked about it, holding trend, not surprised. In the 330s, we talked about that. Carry starting to lag a little bit. 50-day, right? XLF only up 0.5%, while the market is up, 1% and change. So you definitely see some lagging. Definitely IWM starting to catch up literally as we speak, which is interesting. Knew it was lagging a little bit. Said maybe the 20, 50-day cross. Again, looking for these levels. Looking to add to shorts. Apple, now we talked about it rallying. Here you go. Could it get up to the 50-day in the gap? That's always possible. I mean, again, if you're bringing a ruler, expecting to be perfect, but if you wanted to short Apple, I don't blame you. Again, especially if it's a swing trade. We talk about the first dip gets bought. Okay, there's your first dip that gets bought. And now you've got a long runway lower. if and when it does flop, right? I mean, all these names. Amazon barely can move anywhere. This thing's turd. 20-day. Google trying to break out. Again, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens here. I was watching this one, so I got stopped out of some of this last week. Keep an eye on it. Again, the psychology of people's emotions, this is the problem. And this is why I'm telling you, like, some of you guys have, like, logically, I need to fix myself. I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to do this. And then you go right back to your same shit. And the problem is that you haven't really ripped out the weeds of the underlying reason. You know, why, again, so someone's like, my biggest is I lose is because I want to stick with certain stocks or sectors. Well, why are you attached to one stock or sector? That is a deeper underlying psychology. That's not about the stock or about the market. That's about you. That's all about you, the person. Why can you not change? Why do you have to marry and commit to certain names and stocks? Why do you have to commit to doing things that don't fucking work? That is a deeper psychological level. I'm not going to go into that on the air for this particular person or in just this particular situation because I understand it. But it's deeper than, oh, I just shouldn't stick to one sector. Well, no shit. Like, that's like so obvious. That's like, don't date an alcoholic. Don't marry a sex addict who's going to cheat on you. I mean, I don't know. Like, throw out anything that's like, Captain Obvious. Let me dress up as Captain Obvious and say, that's easy. Yeah, it's that obvious. But why do people make reoccurring mistakes doing things that are clearly wrong, yet they still do them? It's more about your psychology at this point. It's some sort of buried trauma, resent, frustration event in your life. It's nothing to do with the market. I'm telling you right now. Because if you're willing to dig deeper and go, why do I feel like I have to stick to certain stocks or sectors? Because I lost money with it? Well, maybe it's time to do a prayer and say, thank you, gold. For me, that was one that I used to stick to only. Thank you, gold, for giving me great lessons on how to trade the market. I am not going to trade you exclusively anymore because you can be a complete waste of time and a pain in the ass because you don't always move. Speaking of gold, talk about oversold bounce. I mean, I don't know how high this can go. I don't know. I said this in the recap last night. I'm like, I don't know. You pick your battle with this one if you really want to trade it. Do I trust it? I mean, I trusted it was going to bounce, but then after that, I don't know. Miners, let's see if they're lagging. Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're up 1.4. This thing should be up 3%. We'll see if it gets back to the trend line, 50-day. There's so many. I mean, again, we can go through all the charts and you can see there's so many things setting up. Just be careful. Let things play out. Newmont, man, this thing's a piece of crap. Needs to hold here. Needs to absolutely hold. XOP. Some folks talking about shorting it. I get it. Makes sense. Chopping at the top. Expect oil to start getting a little sleepy. Like sleepy Joe Biden. Kind of sleepy. Retesting this area. Chopping out. Holding up. We'll see. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, those names have done real good. Done real good. Let's go look at some NVIDIAs. Again, just bouncing around. If you have questions, please drop a comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, whatever. I mean, it's like wired to say that stuff. Did we get back to 500? Did we get the channel high? Remember, we got it after hours. Could we get it again? I don't know. I started layering into some NVDS today. I mean, just small nibbles. Because, I mean, could we get to 500? I'm not going to sit here and go, well, I will only add at 500. I mean, the stock literally was at $1.10. Dan, you shorted at 485 and it got to 500. Well, then if this thing ends up being just like Cisco stock, which I think it probably will, and it tanks back down to the 200, 100 range, whatever, do you think I'm going to be crying? Because what if it doesn't get up to 500? I'm not sitting here going, oh, I have to know for sure. It's going to happen. I don't have this ego, y'all. And you got to take the ego out of trading. You absolutely do. Like, people are so wired by their minds. And that's why I'm trying to really start this discussion in the Discord room. Like, if you are making reoccurring patterns, it's not the market. It's you. It's you. Well, here's a mistake that I would make. I am very smart. I think the market, Nvidia, has to get back up to channel higher 500. Bigger volume, lighter volume. What if I sat here and thought that, and then all of a sudden I just go, I have to see a 500 handle, and it never comes. And I'm sitting here pissing in the wind, worried about a couple points on the NVDS, $1 or so. Pfft, whatever, dude. Stuff just drives me. It doesn't bother me. It's just like I've seen all these mistakes. I'm like, don't do it. Here we go. SMH coming back into our blue zone. Man, this is like a double humpy head and shoulders. Double left shoulder, double right shoulder, double head, whatever. I mean, it's the chunk of head and shoulders. Keep an eye on that. We talked about financials. Obviously, Apple. I mean, there's ag names are flat. XBI. I mean, this thing is nothing. Whole lot of nothing. But we talked about the 20-day. Could it get up to the 80 and change? I don't know. It seems like it's always possible. AMD, if you took this one at 100, you would hope it's up a little more today. A little disappointed in it. Because even like crap old Micron, I mean, it's holding up better. In intellectual property, Intel, chopping around. Excuse me, Netflix. Oh, Tesla. Why am I not talking about Tesla? Chopping around. Tesla. Here you go. It did save. Okay. Getting close enough for government work. Now again, will it get up there? Why is it rising? I have no clue. I haven't really read too much of the news. Let me go check the briefing. Is there anything? Apple set September 12th date as iPhone 15 event. Cool. Bitcoin. Blah, blah, blah. Well, didn't Tesla sell their Bitcoin? AT&T up probably on the iPhone. Who's buying an Apple iPhone 15 for the holidays? Not me. Hell no. I mean, these phones are so... They're not that much different, y'all. The new one. If you need to upgrade, just buy an old one. Half the price. Sorry, I'm just talking logically here. Why would you do something so obvious, so logical, Dan? Nah. All right. No, I mean, back to this point, like, I mean, I'm here for you guys. You have questions. Holler if you hear me. Thanks for doing this. Sorry to go backwards, but did I hear you correctly that you wouldn't be surprised to see a wick on the SPY today? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised you saw a wick on the SPY, a wick on the Qs. I mean, how many times, again, if you study the past, can you wick out, right? Like near highs. So if this is a retest, could you be playing games like this, right? Retest, or maybe tomorrow you need a doji. I don't know. There's so many examples of like how this can play out. And then maybe could we have a gap up tomorrow? I mean, this is all possible. Could it fail at the end of the day? Again, the problem with people who trade day trade, the belief that you have to be right now with 1,000% certainty is really hard. But if I'm sitting here going, well, shit, I will just buy some puts or buy some ETFs that short the market at these levels, and I give myself plenty of time, define my risk, give myself time, just hang out. I mean, am I going to be mad if I'm wrong? No, I mean, it makes sense to short here. The whole Head and Shoulders crowd, again, everyone keeps talking about that. I'm like, I didn't realize shampoo became so popular. But think about it, right? Oh, it invalidated the Head and Shoulders. I mean, this is the problem with trading is, again, if you bring a ruler and it says, well, if it breaks this point, it's got to go higher. That's the problem sometimes. I love when the headlines start poking at that, because who do you think reacts to the headlines? Right? Who do you think reacts, right? Retail. Oh, did you see the Head and Shoulders invalidated? The market's got a tank or gonna go higher. Let's all plow in at the highs. Okay, you go right right ahead, boss. Let me check something else again real quick. Right here, coming into the 10-minute. Candles tightening up, getting a little tired. Saw some SPY that I thought was a little interesting. Had this, and then you rally back, and now it's multi-candle range. Now again, could we go higher from here? I mean, I don't know. Could it trap out? This is the thing about intraday candles, right? Like if you sat here and watched this, could you trap out a little higher and then fail? Maybe. Or is it about to like continue the leg up? 4 candles and go. Again, what's creating the pump today? Squeeze action. Again, I'd rather sell into strength, cover into weakness, than try to get perfect and try to tell myself, I'm going to hit this target. Because if you trade long enough, you realize you're right. You're going to be exactly right probably 1 out of 5 times. The other 4 times, you just want to be close. And then sometimes you're just going to be wrong. Called that on MicroStrategy. Here you go. Doink. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Because again, have no ego here. Because trading is one of those things, like, it's going into the casino, playing blackjack, and going, well, I can't lose. Okay. I mean, if you want to make trading as literally as simple as you can make it, like mentally, you just start coming to these realizations that everything is everything, meaning you try to line up with the evidence, and then you still can be wrong, and everything is important. So your rules, the charting, the disciplines, it's just part of the game. It's just part of the game. I mean, could we rise more? I mean, that's always possible. I'm trying to explain to these folks. Like, if you had longs, take your profits. Raise your stops. Whatever you feel like is your goal. If you want to start adding shorts here, it makes sense. But just don't sit here and go all in. That just makes me cringe because I'm like, I don't know where the peak is. I don't know how long this intraday action. Maybe we need one more day. Maybe they squeeze it one more day. I don't know. Maybe they squeeze it into a full moon. I don't know. But I do know the mind's going to trap you into believing, well, all or nothing right now. This is the moment. I have to do it. I'm buying 10 puts, 10 calls, whatever, going all in, and I'm just going to let it ride. All right, well, that's gambling. That's gambling. Any other thoughts, questions, concern? SPY? Yeah, we were just talking about on the 10-minute. See what happens up here. Could this be a wick? Could it be a breakout? I don't know. People get real bullish at the highs, just like at the lows. They got real bearish. Who remembers all the sentiment, all the chat last week? Anybody? Anybody raise your hand? Any comments? Y'all remember that? Oh, the world's gonna end. You got Sam in here dropping China's gonna collapse videos. I'm like, stop it. Get this crap off my board. That's what I'm saying. I let him post it, but I just didn't. Again, I like to observe people because you can recognize your own weaknesses in others at times. It's like that stuff used to bother me, but I'm like, watch. So just see what happens. If they're right, they're right. But more times than not, they're probably not going to be. Because this is the thing, right? China. Well, Evergrande's failing. Why is the market rallying? I don't know. But there were signs that the market was going to pop. Now what? Let's see what happens. See if banks lag. Keep an eye on it, right? Banks lagging. IWM hitting some targets. VIX filling the gap. Let's do the math here, y'all. Do the math. And people are like, well, why would you even add shorts at this point now? Because if I'm not going to be around, I can't babysit the market. I don't want to sit here and watch it all 6.5 hours. What happens if a headline comes out? I mean, I've been in this position. Again, I've taken conscious thought, mistakes. You have to be very thankful for your mistakes because if you actually use them to your advantage, you learn from them. What do you think the right trade size as a percentage of total? I don't know what that means. Everybody's different. What do you think the right trade size as a percent of total? I don't know. Someone's asking this. I don't know what that means. The right trade size? You do you. right? If you think the market's going to tank big and Nvidia's a piece of crap and the market overall is going to get flushed out in the fall, you tell me how, again, just define your risk. Options versus stock. Now, definitely be careful with options. Stock, you do you. The right answer is whatever you're willing to lose and define it. That is the question. But you're not going to get rich diversifying. I always tell people that. I'm like, diversification, I mean, where's that? I got to pull this one up because this one always makes me laugh. Buffett diversification quote. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you're doing. He also said a lot of great fortunes in the world have been made by owning a single wonderful business. If you understand business, you don't need to worry about many of them. Again, diversification is for the ignorant. I completely agree. Again, have a thesis, define your risk. But you're not going to get rich diversifying assets. Sorry, it's just lazy. Pick a few assets. You can be wrong on them, but this is the problem here. You're going to be wrong sometimes going big on certain things. Learn from your mistakes. Have no ego. If your ego, again, if you live on this lower plane mind of fight or flight, all or nothing, black or white, all in, all out, that's all ego bullshit. I'm telling you, because the higher brain knows, all right, this is a probability-based game. I can't expect always to be right. I can use layers. I can expect certain points. I have to define my risk. It's not sitting in this need to be perfect. If you have these urges, you are wired to fail. You were wired to fail. Like, it's classic wiring, all or nothing trading, gambling. Well, if I can't stop drinking, I might as well just die. Or sorry, like fat people, like, oh, I can't stop eating. I'm just gonna, whatever. I'm gonna enjoy overeating and being unhealthy. Well, then their energy sucks. They're not happy. They can't get laid. They have so many health problems. But they rationalize I can't change. See this shit all the time. Like, how are you handling your feelings? Do you bury them? Do you look at the trade and go, well, I'm wrong, well, I'm not going to watch it? Well, what was your risk, sir? No, I'll be right eventually. Well, I hope you're right eventually, but what if you're wrong? I don't know about it. Okay. You have to ask yourself why you make mistakes. Why can't you have what you want in life? Do you want to blame the world, the universe, God, politics, the government? I mean, so many people blaming everybody but themselves. Sorry, I'm just on this rant about this stuff because it's been like having these conversations. It's like people go, it's hard. It's hard. No, it's not. If you're fat, stop eating. If you're alcoholic, put the drinks down. Trading's hard, Dan. I can't. No, what percentage of the portfolio should? Why can't I just not stick to one sector? Why can't I? I don't know. Why do you think it's hard? Because there's 1,000 other people that I know, maybe not 1,000, but tons of other people who go, that's not that hard. If I'm wrong, I move on. If the stock's not working, I'm gone. Why do I need to sit here and watch it and pray and go, well, maybe it'll happen tomorrow. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow. And it's like that same fallacy of why gamblers get addicted, right? Just win once out of 1,000 and it gives you hope. Oh, I'll pull the lever and I'll hit the casino jackpot at some point. Everyone's sitting there thinking the same shit. It's so bad. So unhealthy. Just because you win once gives you some really bad tendencies. Well, the market's just too random. I can't do it. I can't, I won't, this is hard, all these things. Those are programmed of subconscious bullshit. I'm telling you, when you have confidence in the other parts of your life, you do not sit there and go, I can't, I won't, this is hard. You don't talk to yourself. Imagine if I was telling you this. You can't trade. Trading is hard. No, you don't talk to yourself like that. And so if these are the wirings in your brain as you are trading, stop trading. Because I'm telling you right now, until you figure that kind of crap out, you're going to continue to make the same mistakes over and over and over. It's just painful. That little voice in the back is the subconscious wiring of your consciousness. Especially if you're like logically, I need to set a stop. Oh, it's so hard. Why do I have to do it? Oh, I have such bad luck. The market hates me. I mean, so many of these comments where I'm just like, okay, the market doesn't hate me. No, market hates everyone. It's trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. We've talked about this endlessly. Market hates everybody. Trying to get your money, player. It's just trying to take your money. Come on, y'all. Don't be dumb enough to think that you just have to like. It's like a deer in headlights or that powerless response where it's like, well, you might as well just die. I give up. I'm telling you, you can't do that. Trading, you got to be vicious. You got to be vigilant to your beliefs. If you're early, you don't like to trade, you don't like, get the fuck out. Get out. Get it. If you think you've made a mistake, well then admit it, move forward, move on. Be like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, your Tiger Woods, your favorite athlete. They make mistakes, they don't try to make more. One mistake is fine. Multiple mistakes is not. Okay? Comprende? Makes sense? It happens. Nobody's perfect. If you're sitting here trading for perfection, you shouldn't be trading. Because you're not going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. All right. Kind of quiet today. Any thoughts, concerns, issues? I'll be looking for a lift. Tweezer top here. I'll be concerned. What time is it? If you can get back under 448. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? If not, I'm just going to let it go. Because I think, again, I could talk about the psychology of this for days. Some of y'all are just so wired to fuck up. And it's like, how do you know, Dan? Because I was like that once. I'm not sitting here trying to preach from someone with no experience. I think I told you guys, there was a time when like I felt like I couldn't win, ever. Every trade went against me. And I was like, what are the odds that you lose like 20 in a row? Like that is like flipping a coin and hitting heads every time. There's got to be some skill to losing every time. Well, okay, well then how do you flip that around? How do you turn that into winning every time? Oh. Well, again, I mean, every time. No one's perfect, but think about it, right? Think. You gotta be conscious here. You cannot be riding a wave of subconscious, pre-written belief systems that are just faulty. Because again, your bank account and your balances are the mirror, right? That doesn't lie. If you're making money, you're making money. If you're losing money, you're losing money. That's the mirror, right? Your account balance tells you what you're doing is working, or it's telling you what it's not doing, and it's not working. If you cannot take time ever to sit back and go, I need to observe my strategy, my skills, what I'm doing, why I make mistakes, what puts me in positions to make mistakes, what are the reoccurring patterns that I tend to like not listen to. I bought the September 5 447 puts on the SPY. Okay, cool. Good luck with that. Next Monday, Tuesday. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done that, but I probably wouldn't buy puts until the VIX fills the gap. But I don't know. The market could be higher, lower, chopping. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to know for sure. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, again, just layer in. I just wouldn't go all in. You never know. You never what you got. Pending home sales, GDP tomorrow, full moon. Nvidia making new highs. Now getting to 490. Problem with out of the money puts with a compressing VIX is they're absolutely going to get murdered. If you bought like the 455 puts with a ton of implied, time in the money, implied value. Why is my brain not working today? Intrinsic value of $6 or $7, then you're basically paying for time. When you buy options out of the money, all you are is paying for time. You have no intrinsic value in the options, so they can absolutely just get murdered. Think of it like trying to grasp sand, the sands of time, buying puts out of the money, squeezing. If it doesn't happen right away, all of a sudden that sand and dirt is just slipping out of your hands. Keep that in mind. Think of that analogy. That's why I try to tell people, if you're going to be trading options, please try to be in the money. If you're trying to swing options, 1,000% in the money. Out of the money, at the money, no intrinsic values. I mean, you might as well just set the clock for burn. Premium burn. Unless the trade goes in your favor immediately. You might as well set the clock for burn. Could this be a wick? Again, we'll see. I'd be watching again. Financials. What's XLF doing? At the high of the day. 20-day coming into this gap. Definitely lagging and percentage-wise to compare to the market and the Qs. It's worth keeping an eye on again, especially the KRE. I would think this would be like up a point or two. It's barely at 45 cents. What's HYG doing? Okay. I just hate when people buy options. They don't think about them. Again, unless you trade them for a while, you gotta think of them as like hand grenades. Like, very careful handling these things. Very careful. Silver, there you go. Hi-ho silver away. Build its gap. Is there a trend? Yeah, there it is. Let's see what happens. Good old Roblox, we talked about this, had a point or two in it, maybe 30. Down here at 26. We'll see. If it goes a little higher, good old Tesla's popping around. I mean, SMH getting close to that 185. Doesn't seem to be many questions, so if that's the case, I'm just going to let it roll. There's not much to say other than please be careful. Could we chop around end of the month? First and last 3 business days of the month could bring in new money. Also, it could be profit taking, could be volatile. Again, if you're buying puts for next week, I think that's probably, if you want my honest opinion on buying puts for next week, pretty, I don't know if you needed that much time. I just think if it's better of a trade. I don't know if we'll collapse right away, but I think you pull back, and so you could have bought in the money barely any time, intrinsic value, and turned a $2 or $3 put into 4 or 5. So again, I don't know what the September 5th 47s are trading at. I don't know. I just don't know. Again, I wouldn't. Next week's at the money or out of the money puts, yeah, they're cheap for a reason. And again, I hope the market dumps. Like, that's the easy answer. But this is the thing. When you're playing options, you got to be thoughtful of what is the worst case scenario. You have to put that in your mind, because the worst case scenario plays out. Are you comfortable with that? Because it could be a total loss. Does this make sense? Total loss. I mean, that's the thing. You're trading options. You better be prepared for total losses. So don't go all in. Don't go big. Sorry, distracted. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Not much questions, not much going on. A lot of the folks are busy today. Again, just at the spur of the moment. And that's why, again, if you're new to the channel, hit the notification bell. You will get the ding, ding, ding alert that I am going live. I typically plan on doing them. They're usually around lunchtime, Eastern Standard, during the week, depending on what's going on. So I appreciate everyone's love, support, all the generous donations. I mean, again, just hit me up if you really are struggling with the psychology of this stuff. I'm telling you, that's 90% of it. A lot of you guys just feel like you have to freaking gamble, and it's like, oh man, you're making trading so hard, trying to get rich or go broke, and it's like, is that really what you want to do? Read this. If you want to rewrite your subconscious. Every thought you think and every word you say from a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche work to make real. If you think trading's hard, guess what? You'll find that it's hard. The strongest force in every human being is that it must act in a way that's absolutely consistent with your thinking. What are you thinking as you're entering these trades? What are you thinking as the trade is going on? Is it paralyzing you from acting? Every thought you think is a physical reaction, emotional response. Your neck getting tight, your shoulders getting tight, your forearms getting tight up, your breath shortening, your pulse picking up, right? Your blood pressure. Imagination is more powerful than logic. Well, then what do you start doing? Imagining scenarios. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to fail. The world's going to end. Your mind learns through repetition. You keep doing this crap over and over. Next thing you know, you're wired to fail. What you expect almost tends to be realized. Well, the market, guess what? Not so much. Your mind does not care what you tell is really true or false. It lets in everything. Like, what are your thoughts as you're getting into these trades? Are you thinking? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about discipline? Stops? What is my max loss? Or are you thinking, I'm going to get rich? You make your beliefs, and then your beliefs turn around and make you. Well, guess what? If your belief is you have to get rich trading quickly and gambling, again, is the reality, is that what the market does? No, it's trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. You got to be stupid patient, very thoughtful. Your mind loves what is familiar and hates what is unfamiliar. Well, guess what? If you are a gambler, it hates discipline. If you're trying to get rich, it hates slow moving patience. The mind only responds to two things: the pictures you make in your head and the words that you say to yourself. Are you talking to yourself negatively? Are you talking to yourself through inflated ego? Are you telling yourself you can't lose? You're telling yourself, oh my God, I'm the best trader. I won 10 in a row. I can't lose. The mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs, hence why you start getting brain fog. Hence why you get paralyzed, freeze. Sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know what to do, and you just walk away. Because that's the conflicting beliefs in your head. You're, oh, I'm going to make $1 million, but the evidence is telling you you're going to get fucking murdered. Your mind does what it thinks you want it to do. If you are losing money, self-destructing patterns, your mind is following through. And what is it going to do? Self-destruct. Again, use the Calendly link. Hit me up below if you have any questions. Got some of these videos here, all for you. But what good are tools if you don't use them? It's like having a shovel. It's like having anything. And if you don't use the tools to their purpose, you're destined to fail. All right. Talk to you later. Peace.